So I am now in Sacramento, and Home Depot is only 5 minutes away instead of 20 miles away. So I got some more boards, some more plywood, and I'm gonna remake the foundation that I made in the last video to make it more sturdy and to give it more resistance to the weather, and it'll be higher up off the ground and it'll have more insulation and things like that. So I'm gonna build 4 8x8 squares essentially, which will be 2 sheets of plywood each, and then I'm gonna reinforce them every 16 inches just like you would do a wall. So that'll be a lot sturdier, and then we'll just put that on top of the foundation that I have now, and hopefully it'll work out better. So I got all the wood here. Love the smell of pine. I think it's so cool that you can take basic things like this, some nails, wood, and create something that has way more utility than the original products did, with pretty basic effort. So this is what I got. Stay tuned and we'll see what it turns into. So I think this is called gang cutting, possibly, something like that. I could be completely wrong. And like I've said many times, I only have basic tools. So I have a skill saw. I know you could probably use a chop saw and set up a guide and do all that jazz, but I don't have that. So I need to cut off 3 inches on each one of these. And I could do every single one, but that would take forever. So we're gonna try this method here. So what I did was, I know 3 inches is like right here, whatever. And then from my guide on my skill saw to the actual blade is another 1.5 inches. So I measured out 4.5 inches, which is this line right here. And then you clamp it down on each side. And I know that this side of this plywood is straight because I haven't cut this side yet, so I know it's square. And we're gonna use this plywood as a guide to cut all the way down all of these pieces of 2x4 here. And ideally they'll be cut square and all at the exact same length. So I'm gonna clamp this down and then we're gonna gang cut it. So I have the second row set up here, and when you're doing this you want to take your gloves off and check right here and make sure that they're all lined up correctly, because if you gang cut and it's off by a little bit here, obviously they won't be the same. I think my woodshop teacher back in high school said that your fingertip can feel like up to a 1/100th of an inch or something like that. So you can get it so it feels good to your fingers in a straight line, and that should be good enough to get you a straight cut. So the reason that I had to cut the boards, even though the 2x4s are 8 feet, because this is gonna come in here, if I cut this, or if I left it at 8 feet, it would be 8 feet plus 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches on the other side. So I had to cut 3 inches off of this one So when it picks up an inch and a half here and an inch and a half on the other side, it will be 8 feet. And I know that my top board is already 8 feet as well. Also, they're 2x4s, but it's not actually 2 inches by 4 inches. This is an inch and a half, not 2 inches. So when you take that into account with your measurements, just make sure that you know that and you don't subtract out 4, because you only need to subtract out 3 for each side.